Hello, darling hearts. It's your GAPS coach, Emma here, gut health specialist. Have you been wearing your pajamas under your clothes? I have. I've been wearing a cashmere sweater actually in bed because I don't want to have the heating on in my bedroom. I've only just turned the heating on in the house. It was an ice storm last night and I did my Timeless Cookery Club Fearless Ferments YouTube Zoom video and it didn't record properly because the ice storm just interfered with it. It was a real bitch, but never mind. It's never too late. I want to tell you that it's not your fault if you are not achieving perfect health because the food system is broken. And I just had an interesting interaction with somebody who said, I can't get the mother of my child on board with the food as the medicine because I tried to say it was about nutritional deficiencies and she won't have it. And that's very interesting because as a mother, you think you're absolutely doing your best to nourish your kids. And yet you're still somehow failing. And I know because I failed so many times with so many things. So you can learn from my mistakes. The point I want to make is that they've been fortifying flour since the 1940s, which means it's full of iron that's not bioavailable. It's literally iron filings. I've said this before, you can crush a bag of cornflakes and pull a magnet through it and you will put, if it's been fortified with iron. They boast about it on the packaging. Most flour, like 80%, nearly 90% of the flour in the UK and in America and in a lot of Europe is fortified. So those iron filings just fill your body up with iron that you don't really need. And that creates a kind of antenna for the wrong kind of frequencies. So having too much iron in your system will give you signs of anemia. And yet they'll tell you that you need more iron. So having an iron infusion or, taking iron supplements is a big, big mistake. Because nearly all of us, because it's a generational thing, and it's a systemic, societal problem, we're all overloaded with iron. And iron is regulated by copper. And there's lots of fear around copper, and lots of people think that they're copper toxic because in hair mineral analysis tests it quite often says, oh, your copper's too high. But that could be the copper that they spray, even on organic crops, as a fungicide. Copper sulfate is the wrong kind of copper. And yes, you're copper toxic, but what do you need to regulate the copper and get your copper correct? Copper that is bioavailable. So copper is the king. In the hierarchy of minerals, copper is right at the top, and copper has been collated out of the soils, out of the animals who eat the plants that grow on the depleted soils since the 1980s when they started using glyphosate. So the combination of these two things means across the board, the whole of the population in the West, generally speaking, is overloaded with iron unless they've been paying attention and not got enough copper. But you can't just go taking copper because it needs to work with zinc and it needs to be bioavailable. And it's pointless taking zinc because, in a synthetic form, because that messes with copper metabolism. Also taking D3 and K2 messes with copper metabolism. Also taking ascorbic acid, as in the form of vitamin C, is messing with copper metabolism. So it's a big, hot mess. And even if you think you've been doing the right things, there's lots of other things that are robbing you of your minerals, like oxalates, for instance. I mean, I don't eat spinach anymore, I don't eat chard, but we used to have it nearly every day because it grows really easily in the garden and the pests don't seem to like it. Why don't they like it? Because it's full of oxalates. And oxalates paralyze the pests' internal system and does the same for us. And it's like shards of glass, oxalates, and it just takes off the ends of the villi, which are on the inside of your epithelial cells on your gut lining. It sort of shaves them off, so that there's little stubs, so that your whole digestive system doesn't work properly, and then you can't absorb things properly. You can't assimilate the building blocks that you're eating. So if you think you know a lot about nutrition, you'll be in a good company in Timeless Cookery Club because most of the people who sign up with me already know a lot. And they say, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And what I'm doing is helping them make the tweaks necessary to actually get results. And we are getting good results. I've got clients with motor neurone disease. I've got clients with ulcerative colitis and bleeding from the bowel. I've got clients with all sorts of really quite shocking things. I've also got complete newbies who know absolutely nothing about gut health and who are still eating wheat. So there's a great range of people. Hi, James. I've got a great range of people in the group, and you'll be in good company. James has got a copper pipe in the bottom of my distilled water container. It keeps it fresh. Yes, it's great. It's antimicrobial, and we can drink out of copper receptacles, and that's a good plan. But really, we need 2 to 4 milligrams every single day because of this generational depletion of the copper since the 1980s, and because of the overloading of iron and folic acid and other things that don't make us work properly. And for heaven's sake, stop taking D3 in a synthetic form, because vitamin D works with vitamin A. And I don't mean beta carotene, I mean retinol, which from an animal source. And for those of you who think, well, I'm getting loads of beta carotene from carrots, that's fine. It's not fine, because your body has to use a lot of energy to transform that beta carotene, vitamin A from a vegetable source, into retinol, which is actually what you need. So lots of tips and tricks for you guys, and you've still got the chance, if you work really fast, to join the club and get 4 coaching sessions for that price. I'm just about to switch over to my Christmas offer, which will be only 2 coaching sessions. So get in there quick and join the club and rub shoulders with people who really know their stuff. Not just me, the other people in the group are actually very knowledgeable, but they're just missing a trick or 2. And as a private health detective, I've been piecing together these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle for 20 years now, and really getting somewhere. I'll be 60 soon and feeling better than I ever have in my whole life. So come and feel better, you too. Poor Jack wants to go out for a walk. Okay, lots of love. Bye.